Watch the ride.
Hey everybody, hope you're all doing alright out there. Now I know electric bikes aren't much interest to many people, but the bike I want to talk about today is actually very, very important because it is the first electric bike, fully electric bike, as far as I'm aware, from any of the big four manufacturers. Honda have made the WN7, and I've been looking over the specs and I'm actually really quite impressed with it, although I know instantly when I tell you two things, you're not going to like it. So let's take a look. So this is the Honda WN7. Looks wise, I think, most of it's okay as far as electric bikes go. Not so keen about how squared off the battery and everything is, but then it's a huge thing that has to be there. It needs to be exposed for cooling. So, it is what it is, and, looks are in the eye of the beholder, but it's the facts and figures that people are going to really care about. And on the face of it, when I first saw this, I was like, that's ridiculous. But I'm going to show you this is actually really quite impressive what Honda have offered, given that it is Honda as well. So the specs of the bike are as follows. It's going to be available in two variants. There's either an 18 kilowatt version for the A2 license, although the A2 license allows you up to 35 kilowatts, or an A1 license or CBT level, where it will have 11 kilowatts. It weighs 217 kilos. It has a range of 80 miles and it costs £13,000. Now, I know you will say £13,000 for a weak A2 or a 125 equivalent is ridiculous. But do remember that the performance of an A1 electric is very much better than a 125 petrol. The reason for this, the way they measure power on an electric is done differently to a petrol. With a petrol bike, obviously the power comes up as the revs go up and it has a peak of where the power hits. So, it might have 11 kilowatts, but it'll hit that at a certain peak in the power range. Whereas an electric bike is measured by sustained power. So it can basically, it's the equivalent of having a petrol bike that gets straight to its power point and just stays there throughout every single gear with no gear change. So the feel is a lot faster. In fact, I have videos on a Zero FX E, and I think I've also ridden the A1 version of the FX. Compared to my DRZ 400SM, a 400cc single, very comparable. You don't get the same top end, but you get acceleration, and they are good bikes to ride. Whether you like electrics or not, that's kind of like, again, like with looks, it's a preference thing, but facts and figures wise, they are powerful, they are quick bikes. So this will be a nippy bike. They're saying it's got the equivalent of a 600cc in power. I mean, obviously that's not going to be the same if it's not the A2 version, but, it's going to be quick. 100 newton meters of torque. I think the A1 could still have the same torque figures. It's just the power, maximum peak power. It's using a water-cooled motor, which is good because that helps increase the longevity of the motor. It would be cool to see a water-cooled battery as well, but I can see why they've not done that, but that would help longevity of battery and be able to charge it a bit faster. Let me just skip through the pictures here so you can see the colour variants. You get a free luggage if you pre-order, I believe. As you can see here, it can take Type 2 charging or CCS2 charging. That means you can fast charge it at a charging station. Other 125 equivalents, like the Zero FXE, can't do that. They have to be plugged into a wall outlet, basically. You can get adapters and things to change it, but you're only going to be able to charge them at 3 kilowatts. So looking at the specs, you can see 18 or 11 kilowatt version, 100 newton meters. Speed, maximum speed is more than 110 kilometers an hour. That's about 68 miles an hour. I would like to have seen that a little bit higher. Comfortably over 70 would be a good thing to see. Maybe 80 miles an hour would be a good thing. And the maximum range is more than 130 kilometers, which is about 80 miles. More than, right, it would be nice to think that 130 kilometers, 80 miles is you properly gunning it around, and if you eke it out, you get a bit more. That's the way I would really like to see the ranges represented with bikes, but very often they represent what is the sort of almost hyper mild version of the mileage. Not all of them, some will call it mixed range, and then it's a bit of both. Battery type lithium ion, normal charging type 2 and quick CCS 2. Charging from 20 to 80% in about 30 minutes. Now that is on par with the best electric bike that's ever been made, in my opinion, which is the Energica the Energica Xperia, which can charge 20 to 80% in 30 minutes. But that's got a much bigger battery with more range, and it's a much more powerful bike. But, you know, looking at what's here, okay, so we've got 80 miles of range, about 70 miles an hour, and can quick charge at a station in about 30 minutes for £13,000. And it comes from a reputable brand of Honda. Do Honda make this themselves? Who knows? But Honda is known for doing good electrical stuff, so maybe, you know, this is actually a really good thing as far as electric bikes go. Now, when I first saw this, I thought people are going to look at the price, at 13,000, which is a lot, and also see that 80-mile range and think that's not very good at all, which I will agree with you. But it's early days. If we do a comparison, say, with RGNT, this is a brand that I've reviewed one of their bikes, not this exact one, but a similar one. They had a really impressive range on it for the price. The price has gone down since then because it was about 12,000. This one is £9,000 roughly. It's not out yet, but we're seeing a mixed range of 150 kilometers, which is a bit more. 120 kilometers maximum speed, which is, you know, a little over 70-ish. I'm not sure if this is an A1 license, so turbo power is obviously peak power, but not sustained power of 46 kilowatts. So that's actually a lot more powerful for a very short amount of time, but the sustained will have to be the same of 11 kilowatts. So not quite sure what's going on with this here. Combined braking system, that's not something you really want. So this is quite good, apart from the fact that I don't think you can do quick charging with this, which is a really big sell. Obviously, you can't take this to a normal station, plug it in, and get your 30-minute charge to mostly refill it. But also it's from a company that you don't know if they're going to be there next week. This is one of the huge problems with a lot of the electrical brands, is will they even be there next week to warranty your bike if something goes wrong? Will they be able to get parts in the future? Now, we can't say that Honda's not going to be asking you to wait 2-3 months on parts, but it's less likely. You're still going to be going to a Honda dealership and dealing with Honda customer service, even if you're not dealing with Honda build necessarily, because it's very dependent on if they actually build this by themselves or not. But if we look at the next largest electrical brand of a similar bike, we're going to be looking at Zero. Zero's been around a long time. They're not likely to go anywhere. So they have the Zero S, which is a A1 license level bike. 86 miles an hour, much more around the area that I'd like to see, and 154 miles of range, much more usable. Because you need to remember that what most people want in range is to and back. Now, if you've got 80 miles of range, that's 40 miles each way. That's not really a huge distance. Most people's commute on average, however, is a lot less than 40 miles on average. Some people's is a lot more, but on average, it's less. So that would work for most people. But being able to have, 77 miles each way is a lot better than 40 each way. It's nearly doubling the mileage, in fact. Charge time, 1.3 hours. So that's quite a lot slower. But this bike is £15,500. If you wish to charge this faster, if we go into the charging information down here, the charger on it is a 3 kilowatt integrated, which means it's going to be a kettle lead. I don't think this has got the ability to plug in a Type 2 charger plug from a normal station. Again, you can get adapters, but do you really want to do that? And that's charges in, where we go, charge standard 4.5 hours. Now they're promoting the fast charging version, it would appear. That's a little disingenuous, because that says charging time of 1.3 hours. But down here, it's saying 4.5 with the standard charger. Now you can get this 6 kilowatt rapid charger, which you fit into this bike, and that allows you to plug it into a Type 2 charger at a station. But if we look at how much that is, power with Zeros, by the way, you have power tanks. Your storage space in where would normally be a petrol tank, you have a cubby hole. You can either fill that with a larger battery like this, or you can put a bigger charger in it. So this 6 kilowatt rapid charger goes in that space, allows you to charge it at stations. You can see it's for the S 2024, 2025, but it is £2,900. So 15.5 for the bike, 16, 17, 18,500 pounds to be able to get something which is electric, A1 license, and can charge in about, I think, let's just go back, in 1.8 hours-ish, 1.3 up to 95% charge. Yeah, they gave the rapid charger speed rather than the actual integrated charger speed. That's a little disingenuous, isn't it? But anyway, as you can see, as much as the Honda, it's a lot of money for a 125 electric. The fact that it's, and I know it's not got the same range as the Zero, but the fact that it's from a big company such as Honda, it's got the power that it's got, and it's got the range that it has, which isn't as much, but it's only £13,000 and you get that all included. You'd have to pay an extra £3,000 for a rapid charger. It's a stonking deal as far as electrics go. Not compared to a petrol, of course, but as far as electrics go, this is a really strong entry as the first fully electric bike from any of the big four. And it's a sign of things to come. This bike, if they just were able to get a bigger battery in it, so they could extend that range to, 140 miles maybe 120 miles, and they could get that speed up just a little bit so it was more comfortable. I mean, it says more than. It might be capable of doing 85 miles an hour, we don't know. But it would be better if they'd suggested that it could easily do, say, 75, so it was comfortable on a motorway. As I say, at first, when I first saw this, I thought, this is a lot of money for not a lot of bike. But then when you see all of the extra bits included, like the charger and all of that, it's a very, very strong entry from Honda. Regardless of whether you like electrics, regardless of whether they're really going to take over everything. I will say now, because I know there'll be comments, hydrogen is not going to be a replacement for internal combustion engines. It's just not. You will not get the same range. The problem is the density of the gas and what range you get from it. That's why the Kawasaki has got that giant caboose on the back of it with 7 tanks on it, because they need that volume, and it will still have a very low mileage with that. You'll have to compress the gas to a ridiculous level if you want to get more hydrogen on a bike in a smaller space. You won't even get. I once worked it out. For the equivalent range of a standard tank on a bike, the volume area needs to be about 4 times the size of a petrol tank at 10,000 psi or something around that point, which is very dangerous. Hydrogen, people say electric bikes catch fire. They do, but it's nothing like that much hydrogen at that sort of a pressure. If that ruptured against your leg, goodbye leg. And if that got ignited, goodbye bike, you and a lot of stuff in the area. That would be catastrophic. Also, hydrogen can leak through steel tanks. It's such a small molecule that it just works its way through the lattice work of other materials, and it will just leak everywhere. So hydrogen is not going to be the answer as an internal combustion. You could use it in a catalytic converter style fuel cell, but still what you get back in range and fuel and efficiency from creating the electricity to create the hydrogen and getting it back is poor. And there's also synthetic fuels that people bring up, but that again is not really a good viable idea. When it comes to small travel, small equipment, particularly smaller than cars, like cars are electric and that makes a lot of sense. With a bike, it makes even more sense for it to be electric. So, like it or lump it, they are probably going to discontinue, as in stop the sale of new internal combustion engines at some point in the future. I don't believe it will be on the dates they're currently suggesting, personally. I used to think it would be, I don't think it is anymore. I do like electric bikes, but they need to be better than they are now, and they need to be cheaper. But this, currently, is arguably the most electric bike for the least amount of money out there, because of the charging, because that's so important. A lot of people can't charge a bike at their house. Like, you can get an FX, a Zero FX 125 equivalent for about £11,000, which will have, I think, more mileage and a little bit more top speed. And, it's a great bike. I love them, but they still have a kettle lead, the 3 kilowatt charging. You can't change the fact that you'll need to charge it outside or in a garage or somewhere if you want to do that. And it's a long, long charge. To have fast charging on it for that price is really impressive. and it kind of completely blows the range problem and the possible top speed problem out of the water, in my opinion. So there you go. The Honda WN7 is an electric bike, which not a lot of people are going to like. I don't know if it will even sell that well, because it's a lot of money compared to what you can have now. But as a sign of things to come, it's very strong. And remember that once Honda's got their one out, it's coming out, I think it's November 25, Yamaha's going to have to follow suit. Kawasaki will have to, they did do an electric hybrid, remember, which was, I think, was a 400cc with an electric motor with it, which allowed you to ride around on the electric motor under about 20 miles an hour around town. Then the petrol motor kicks in for when you're going faster and further, and you can also boost it with the electric motor. I believe those bikes were something like £12,000 or £13,000, and I've seen those new for sale for about 6 or 7 because no one was buying them. The problem with those is you have all the drawbacks of an internal combustion engine with all of the drawbacks of an electric at the same time in one bike. So I don't think hybrids, until they get really power dense batteries and really powerful small motors, that's a good idea, but you're going to need that before it becomes more viable. And by the point that you've got really high density batteries and really powerful small motors, well, they're probably going to have discontinued the internal combustion side of it. So it's a good sign of things to come if you don't mind electrics. If you don't like them, of course, this is the devil incarnate, but this is cheaper, basically. This is a lot cheaper than a Zero, and it's offering more. So it's a good start. So good work, Honda. Quite impressed. Hope to see the competition of the other companies out there and where this might go in the future. There you go. I hope you enjoyed the video. Even if you don't like electrics, at least you're now informed about what's going on with them. Hit the like button, I'd really appreciate it. A huge thanks to my Patreon and YouTube members who help support this channel and help me support this time that I'm going through at the moment, which if you've seen recent videos, you'll know. But this, as I say, I've been wanting to talk about this for a few weeks since I saw about it, a couple of months, but obviously with everything going on, I haven't had a chance until now. There we go. Till the next one. Bye-bye.